Hey everybody, and welcome to the first video in a series of videos about using CAD in robotics. So CAD stands for Computer Aided Design. It is a software that we use in robotics to help plan out our robots. It is a way of making sure we have very precise alignment between all the many parts that we have and make sure that our full robot design makes sense before we get down to actually building the robot. A great part of using CAD is that we can make custom pieces that integrate well with like existing pieces. So for example, we have metal structural parts like a U-channel or other parts in the robotics lab that we can then integrate with custom pieces that we make. We can use laser cutters, we can use 3D printers to make these custom parts that then work with our existing pieces. And that's what I really want to try and work through. How to build a robot, plan it, and then also make some custom pieces. We're going to use a software called Onshape. If you have done other stuff, other CAD stuff, again, you might have used Fusion 360. We're going to use Onshape for this one. They're very similar idea, but different kind of operations. This is Onshape is really well suited for robotics. It's great for collaboration, great for kind of putting parts together, and it's going to be really great for building our robots. So our task today is to build the V2 version of our robot. So V2 is actually the build that most of you have done already, or nearly, I would say all of you have done already. And let me show you what that looks like. That's just like the generic chassis build. So let me show you what I'm looking at. So first things first, we should look in our OneNote. There should be something in our CAD folder called chassis build. This might look different by the time you get to it, but there should be something called chassis build. And it's going to include this document. So this is a document we're going to build from. I think when we've done this previously, when you first built your robots, you maybe built them just using an Onshape. I didn't give you instructions. Here's the instructions for the robot, and we're going to follow along with this build. But instead of building it physically, we're going to build it digitally. So hopefully the idea is that we can activate prior knowledge, stuff you already know, but trying to put that in a new domain by kind of building it within CAD. So we're going to need this document. You can download it. You can open it. I think it tends to work better if you download it first because we want to be able to copy out some information from here. In fact, I'm going to change it so you have to download it from here. So we're going to open it up in here and we can see our build. We're going to follow along in this process using our CAD software. All right, so one term we need to be familiar with is GoBuilda. GoBuilda is a company that we get the majority of our robotics parts from. So we can go to GoBuilda.com. We can see all the available parts they have, GoBuilda. And in here, you can see these are all the different parts they have. They're kind of organized along these headings in here. And what's great about this is they have a whole bunch of parts, but also they make these files digitally available to us. So we can if we grab any random part, there's going to be a step file for each one of them, which is like a 3D design of their piece. We don't have to go back and recreate their pieces. We can import them directly into our drawings, and that's what allows us to do all the things that we can do in CAD, the way we can make kind of parts work together. I do want to look at an existing CAD. So this is a CAD of the one of the Rabbi robots from, I think it's 2023 to 2024. This is what the robot looks like. They planned it all out ahead of time using CAD, and this allowed them to integrate some pieces that that we already had. For example, like the U-channels in here. These are just GoBuilda parts, but then they made some custom pieces like these sides. And this really allowed us a lot of flexibility to make new parts that integrated well with existing parts. All right, so let's pop into our Onshape and we'll get started. So in Onshape, you should see there should be an assignment here for you in classes, maybe under classes. I'm not sure exactly what this will look like for you, but it should say V2 chassis build. I'm just going to create my own document. I'm going to say chassis code or build along. Something like that. I'm going to create my own, but you should create yours in there so that we can, so I can see your work. Okay, I want to orient you to this space a little bit. The two major things, and this is different from Fusion, is that down on the bottom left, there's a part studio and there's an assembly. So that is how Onshape works. We build parts and we assemble them together to form an assembly. So if we look at like the full robot CAD here, we can see that there are a whole bunch of little individual parts. Like each one of these things is a part that gets put together into an assembly. An assembly is where we basically say like this part goes with this part and they fit together here. Here's where they kind of mate together. Here's where they join together. For example, if we look at this, if we go back to this U-channel, this is joining together. This is a part and this sidewall is also a part. So those are individual parts and then we're gonna put them together to form an assembly. How we fit them together and how we get them to kind of be perfectly matched or mated together is a big part of what we'll work on in CAD. All right, so we're going to start with our build along here. We're going to use our chassis, and we're just going to first start with this. I might import some parts, and in the next video we'll start putting things together. I'm going to start with this U-channel here and these dual blocks. It looks like I need 4 dual blocks, and I need 1 U-channel for this one. So I'm going to start by importing a U-channel. Okay, what you need to get out of here, the best way to do this is to import the SKU from this. It's like the product number, product ID for this. Hopefully they'll copy. We need to take that product number, and then we're gonna search for it in Onshape. Onshape has a list of all of the products that are available, all of the pieces that are available to us. We're gonna go into an assembly because we're not making an individual part yet. We're gonna mostly work in assemblies. We'll do part studios later. We'll do assembly. We're going to insert a part. There is an existing library that we can access. It's in other documents. You should have access to this library if you have, if you're in my class. If we hit other documents, we're going to say home. It should say something like FTC parts users right in the middle here. If we click on that, we can search into, these are all of the different companies that might make robotics parts. We can go into GoBuilda and we can do a search. And I'm going to put in the SKU surrounded by quotation marks, which lets us know we're searching for this exact piece. And then I'll search and we'll find the piece. I'm going to grab a 9-hole U channel. Should open up into here. Again, should be a part that we're going to insert. We'll grab a part, put it into the space. Make sure we hit check mark to make sure the part actually gets inserted. So we have one part in there. Let's go through and we're going to add the other parts that we need here are the dual blocks. So I'm going to grab 2 dual blocks. We can copy. We're going to say insert. We say home. I find this is the best workflow for doing this. Hit home, FTC parts, GoBuilda, and then we can search for this part. I'll make sure I'm going to delete. Looks like it didn't matter. I'm going to grab the one that's not in progress. I don't think it really matters that much, but this tends to like give us some errors in our documents because it's like version histories aren't synced or something. I'm going to grab one of these and grab one. So I'm going to paste and I'm going to say OK. I can also copy and paste. I want to make 3 more of these. So I'm going to grab this piece. I guess I should look over here on the left side. I can see all the parts that I've pulled in so far. So if I want to select any individual piece, I can select either from here or from the document itself. So I'm going to select over here. In Onshape, it will automatically select multiple pieces. So if I select one and I select the other, it will multi-select. It'll select both of those, not switch from one part to the other. All right, so in here, that's going to be good enough for me. I'm going to grab this part. I'm going to say Command V, V, V. I'm going to copy and paste 4 of those out, and then I'm going to start building in the next video.